Hey, look, my sewing table is cleared. I actually cleaned all of the UFOs off of it for once.
UFOs?
Unfinished objects.
Oh. Wow, this is so classy.
I like using the nice things.
You do.
I like using the nice things on a regular basis.
Cheers.
L'chaim.
Cheers. Yum.
We're here. We made it.
Good choice.
We got tea. We got crafts.
Yeah.
Shall we tell the good people what we're doing here? Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Ginger Chronicles. I'm Vi.
I'm Gaya.
And today we're doing something new.
Yeah. I was thinking about the fact that generally when I come to YouTube, it's either to learn something new or research something, or it's just to pass the time. It's to sort of have that companionship, whether it's a podcast that's educational or something that is relaxing and in the background while I do things like clean the house, cook, do some crafts. So I thought it would be really nice, because we both craft, if we sat down and talked about our lives and how we're going about day to day with our chronic illness, while also doing something we love, which for me is going to be drawing. Specifically, I'm working on a commission. Ooh. Yeah, that is for my friend. And I might talk a little bit more about that later, but what will you be doing today?
So far I've got 2 pairs of pajama pants that need mending. I made these myself. I hand sewed them because the hand done seams are more comfortable in pajama pants.
Sure.
But I wear them a lot. They're falling apart a little bit, so I need to mend them. And then if I run out of that, I've got a Ren Fair shirt that I started making for Ren Fair season, and now I probably won't need, but might as well finish.
What kind of shirt is it?
It's the like Elizabethan style. It's like fluffy white linen, and it's got the ruffles around the collar and really full sleeves and ruffly cuffs. Yeah.
Yes, that's like that gothic drama.
Yeah, the one I have right now is hip length, which is fine, but for wearing under dresses, I want something that's more like knee length.
Yeah.
And a little more floof.
It's also, that's easier with corsets, because then you can like pull it down easier.
Yeah.
I totally get that. I don't know, hey, pull up a chair, get yourself some hydration. There will be hydration reminders throughout. Or, get about to what you're trying to be doing. Let us know down below what that is.
Yeah. So today we have made ourselves a pot of black raspberry tea.
Yeah.
Black tea, raspberry flavored, not black raspberry. Those are different.
Are there black raspberries?
Yeah.
What are those not just blackberries?
Yeah, so they look super similar and they taste kind of similar, but the plants are apparently different. But yeah, black raspberries are a thing. They grow all over the rose garden nearby.
Oh.
Yeah. I had a date where we went and like picked as many of them as we could and then came home and made pie out of them. It was great. But yeah, so that's what we're drinking.
Yeah,
I feel like nice. I probably need the caffeine today.
Yeah, in like the hullabaloo of coming over, I forgot to take my awake meds.
Oh no.
It's fine.
Oh no. So it's okay. This makes 2 of us that are a little something.
Right. But the psychosomatic benefits of drinking caffeinated tea will be helpful. But yeah, if I start yawning throughout this video, apologies. Maybe we can edit that out just so I'm not causing yawns on others. But
also, like, hey, this is just how it is sometimes.
Yeah.
I think a big thing that matters a lot to both of us is we're not, like, we might be on camera and we might be trying to be, like, especially when we're doing more composed and topic-focused videos, like, we're trying to be put together, we're trying to present information, we're trying to be at least somewhat composed, but we're not trying to hide what we're actually dealing with. We're not trying to pretend like we're not experiencing whatever chronic illnessy stuff we're experiencing. And so we've just straight up gotten on camera and I've been wiggling out my shoulders and Gaia's had a big pillow to rest her head on and we're here today. Yeah. We showed up. That's what matters.
Yeah, that was your pain video.
Yeah.
I was falling asleep so hard in that one.
Yeah, also that one was after we spent like 80 minutes on camera filming something else and then decided, you know what, let's get 2 out of it.
Oh yeah,
since we're already set up.
The Onyx Storm video.
Yeah. I am so proud of Editing V for getting that down to sub 30 minutes to post, because that really was just 80 minutes of mostly directed rambling about a book we like.
Yeah, I know. Let's see. Okay, well, so herein lies the issue of me forgetting my wakefulness meds, which is that the brain fog's pretty intense. Which again, it's fine. I'm not out here solving, some algebraic equation. But that I think I would still be fine at. It's when you get into like pre-calc and diffie-Qs that I'm just like, good night.
The stuff I never touch.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I can do math in extremely specific contexts. Otherwise, like I will get out a calculator to do basic arithmetic.
Dude, you're a seamstress. Yeah, of course. You're doing geometry all up and down the street.
Yeah, so like I will use algebraic equations to like draft skirt patterns. I have, like, there's a favorite skirt pattern I have that is literally just, like, here are some ways you can use the Pythagorean theorem to make a skirt out of squares. And it's fun. And I feel weirdly better doing stuff like that than just, like, slapping some fabric together without thinking through the shapes. But that's, like, the one context that I can do math in. Otherwise, no. I am calculating tip at a restaurant on my phone.
Oh,
That's what you're getting out of me. This thankfully does not require any pattern drafting. It's just the stitching holding the elastic casing on these pajama pants came undone, which happens, and I'm just sewing it back in place.
that's really cool. I really like the, reduce, reuse, recycle of it all.
Well, and, like, I put all of the effort into making these pajama pants be, like, exactly the way I would want pajama pants to be. So why would I let them go just because they're coming unstitched? I was the one who stitched them in the first place. I did it before. I can do it again.
So what I'm working on, so for some context, I play a lot of tabletop role-playing games. For years now, both the more popular Dungeons and Dragons, but definitely like the Mathier Pathfinder and one-page RPGs, always a really good time, even over several sessions. And within this past year, I started playing a game called Triangle Agency with some friends. It's this very, like, how shall I put this? Eldritch horror comedy about office work and bureaucracy. It's quite delightful. But my game master, or in Triangle Agency, how they call the GM the general manager. Yeah, it's real good. I highly recommend it. The book to learn how to play the game is written, I think, in the tone of the in-world kind of tongue-in-cheek horror of mundanity. It's really well done. But my GM, he does homebrew varieties, and what that means, homebrew is lingo. It just means
you made up the rules yourself.
Yeah, well, you write additional content.
Yeah.
So you essentially write modules that you then use in your home game. The thing is that with my GM, he also publishes them that other people, because he puts a lot of work into them. They're balanced, they're well written, they have the same kind of tone and flavor of the game. And one of the ways that he puts in the extra effort and goes in the extra mile is that he's worked with me before and with another artist as well to do art.
Nice.
For each of these homebrew editions, kind of the same that they do in the book, the player manual. So what I'm working on right now is a set of anomalous powers that center around the concept of ritual. And essentially, what beliefs in ritual and what our conception of that would look like, kind of simplified into some sort of image. So.
Yeah. That's like, that is not a small amount of like conceptual value to get into one piece of art. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's cool though. I talked with him. We had a sit down chat at the beginning when he brought it up, and we were like, okay, well, what do we think of when we think of ritual? And he brought up the whole cyclical nature of it. So I'm going to be drawing kind of an Ouroboros snake in here. There's also a pentagram, because that's, you think of like ritual magic, like dark magic. And I had the idea of like, when I think of something like repetitive task, repetitive nature, kind of a ritualistic thing, especially if it's really ingrained in the history of humanity, I think of weaving.
You are... There's a series of books I've been trying to get you to read for the past week, and it's got a lot of that in it.
Yeah, whenever you talk to me about this book series, what's the name again?
It's the Rook and Rose trilogy. Yeah. And
I'm like, oh, same brain.
Well, so the authors, it started out as a tabletop game. And then the authors were just like, but what if we did our own world building and wrote a fucking book? But one of the things they did is they... one of the main themes is like culture clash and colonization. And one of the cultures, they named a sort of foundational piece of that culture's ritual pattern. Ooh. And suddenly everything in that culture was textile references. That's just their that culture's conception of like, how do you describe the meaningful and important things? How do you transmit information? Like, one of the like traditional garments in that culture is you have a shawl that has your family tree embroidered on it.
I love that.
You'll like these books. I gotta, Emily's got my paper copies right now. But I know she's read them, so.
Ooh, time to steal it back.
Yep. Well, honestly, if you are at her house before I next am, tell her that I have, if she's done with them, they should be given to you.
Okay, I am dropping something off on Sunday.
Yeah, then ask her for the books.
I will be like, you will get this big magazine that you can use for collages, but in return, you must give me.
I mean, actually, while I'm thinking about it, I'm just gonna drop her a text right now and be like, hey, Gaia says she's retrieving something from your house on Sunday. Can you also, if you're done with them, give her my copies of these books?
Sounds good.
Don't mind me literally sending a text, because the way my brain is, if I don't do it right now, I will never remember.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know about you guys. I will make to-do lists and then forget. We'll kind of have to do another to-do list of read to-do list. Yeah. I very much am a believer. I think there is, I forget which, like, executive function coach, psychology practitioner originated this, but it's the 5-minute rule. I think if it takes less than 5 minutes to do and it comes up in your brain, like, do it now. I think that does get in the way of when you have more ADHD tendencies, and you know, you'll have all these ideas pop up, but if you act on all of them, you will never actually be doing one single thing. You will end up with 20 starts of things. So I think it's important sometimes to not follow that rule. But I think this text is a good example of it. But yeah, I'm going to be incorporating, I know I said it before, I'm going to be incorporating this Ouroboros. I'm going to make it, I think, in the shape of a pentagram, and I'm going to have it be half a actual snake and sort of merging into a design on a loom. And I also think that do you know the name for the threader? The thing that you, like the actual mobile part of the loom?
So the thing you pass through is the shuttle.
The shuttle. In my head I was like, the ship, the bus, the transportation service.
I mean, I almost reached over there because this used to be where the bookcase that I keep my ankle loom on was. But now my ankle loom is on a different bookcase across the room.
I love that. The name ankle is so good. Ankle.
Yeah.
But I think that the shuttle is going to be a ritual dagger.
Nice.
Because that's the other immediate association I think of when I think
like
of
that.
ritual.
This is very cool.
So now I'm just drawing all these elements separately to sort of get a feel of like how I would want the snake to be. I like it when snakes are kind of lumpy. How I want the loom to be. I'm doing a version of the loom that I think is, you can see it on some Roman vases. It's just, what's it called? When it has the weights at the bottom. That holds all the individual
I know the thing you're talking about. I just don't know what it's actually named. Like, I don't know tons about weaving. I do ankle weaving because I do like the really simple stuff. And I did it mostly because I wanted to be able to make trim for medieval dresses. And it's the sort of thing where if it's a very simple pattern, you can kind of just like do it and zone out, like watch TV, listen to an audiobook, whatever. The complicated patterns definitely need more focus, and I've not tried them yet. Let me see if Emily has texted back. Emily says yes.
Good.
Excellent.
A bargain has been struck.
Yes. Well, like, so I have these books in literally 3 different formats. I have the ebooks and I have the audiobooks because that's how I read. But I also, like, I wanted to be able to take pictures and I wanted to have the paper copies, even though I don't tend to read a lot on paper. So I bought the paper copies. And then this other friend of mine was interested in reading them, got the audiobooks and was like, I can't make sense of any of the spellings or any of the pronunciations. And I was like, here, take my paper copies.
I love paper copies. First of all, much easier for me to read than digital, just having the physicality of it. And second of all, that'll be really great for me in upcoming travel.
Yeah. See, for me, it's actually the opposite, especially with travel. If I try to take enough reading material for a trip, my bag gets so much heavier. And I've been discovering recently that, like, the more I do to reduce the amount of weight I'm carrying on me, like, for travel, obviously, but even just day to day, like, the difference between how long I can stay out and about if I'm carrying a little purse versus a big purse, it's a huge deal. And if I try to carry enough paper reading material to keep myself in books for a vacation, it will get so much heavier. So I have ebooks and audiobooks and I have stuff on my phone.
Yeah. That makes sense, though. The less of a load you have on your muscles, connective tissues, the less your fibro will flare.
So I joke, but not really joke, that a few years ago I was going on a really big overseas trip, like literally the biggest overseas trip I've ever been on. And in the run up to that, I was like, okay, I have the money for it. Let me get some new luggage because I'm gonna need it. And this was the first time I'd ever gotten like a hard shell, wheels go in all the directions, little carry-on suitcase. And I joke, but it's not a joke, that's an accessibility device.
Oh, are you kidding me? For sure. Also, sorry, to bring that back to, I think, not even a travel use case. Hey, everybody, we need to lay off roller backpacks.
Yeah, oh my goodness.
We need to be kinder to people who use roller backpacks. They don't have to be pilots wheeling up to the gate. They don't have to be, grandmothers going to the marketplace with their little granny carts for groceries. It could be a cool school kid with their roller backpack.
I mean, I was coming home from the gym the other day and just like standing at the crosswalk at the same time with me was this like very stylish, chic, middle-aged business lady.
Yeah.
Like great sharp haircut.
Yeah.
Rolling briefcase.
Oh, heck yeah. Yes. God, wait, now that I think about it, so many uncool school stereotypes are just accessibility things.
Glasses,
braces.
At some point, we're publishing a whole rant about glasses as an accessibility device and the social model of disability.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, that is coming. That video will happen.
Yeah, we've been talking about it because I don't know, between me having renewed my driver's license and also just navigating the world with and without these babies, because I don't have contacts. So if I don't have these on, I'm blind as a bat.
I mean, I barely have contacts. Like, you've heard the sagas of my struggles with them.
Yeah.
And like, I get them working well enough. Like, I'm wearing them today. But I have to, like, if you're squicked out by details of eyeballs, then close your ears for like 10 seconds. I have to use a little suction cup to take them out because my eyes are the wrong shape and dry as a desert. So I can't just use my hand.
Honestly, I feel like even if I could use my hands, I'd rather use a little...
Yeah. It's easier.
That just sounds better. Again, accessibility device, that would be better. Just flat out.
Okay, I guess this is going on longer than 10 seconds, but like, there's a friend of mine who wanted to learn to use contacts instead of glasses for a really involved cosplay. And like, just could not do the touching eye with hand thing.
Yeah.
And
I think that's reasonable.
Yeah. Well, so we shared a hotel room for a dance weekend we were going to, and he saw me like doing my contacts with a little tool because I don't love wearing glasses for dancing. It's too easy for them to fly off my face.
Oh, I know.
Especially if I'm wearing a mask.
Yeah.
Less of an issue these days,
ears.
but yeah. The combination of glasses, mask, twirl.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I prefer contacts for dancing. And he was seeing me just using my little tool to take them out and was like, maybe if there were tools for it, I could do this. And I was like, yeah, of course there are tools for it. I could not wear contacts without these. And so he went and found this whole set of like something to help hold your eye open, something to help put the contact in, something to help take the contact out, and managed to do it.
Wow.
I was so impressed.
Okay. I will be suggesting that to people that I know.
Yeah, so the version I have is just really minimal. I put them in on my own. I can handle that. I can hold my eye open with my fingers, although it's getting a little harder with the longer nails. I think I just need to do like more practice with it. And then I just have the little tool to take them out, and that's it. And as long as I put in eye drops 10 minutes before, it goes fine. Hence, desert dry eyes. But this is like a whole set of like tools for everything. Which I feel like might get rather involved if you're a daily contact wearer, but if you're not, and like, yeah, you see me on camera in my contacts, but that's because I don't want to deal with the glare off my glasses. And I do get really bad glare off my glasses.
There is only room for one.
Yours are actually not as bad as mine usually are, I think.
Hey, Costco glasses, not sponsored.
Yeah,
Costco glasses.
Mine are not as nice as Costco glasses, but they work. And yeah, like when I'm not on camera, glasses. Like if you've seen any of my sewing videos, if I'm not directly speaking to the camera and I'm just getting footage of me making something, glasses. Like, so aside from that tangent, the suitcase's accessibility device, it's one. Like, it just rolls with me. I don't have to put any muscle into dragging it unless I'm on really thick carpet or going upstairs.
Right.
It just slides along.
Yeah, the four-wheel one.
Yeah, I can just give it a little push and it'll go on its own.
Yeah.
But it's built such that I can take my shoulder bag that has my laptop in it and just plop it on top.
Yes.
And then I am carrying no weight at all, but everything I need is just right there. And, like, this is not something I need super often, but I can see it being helpful. If you're somebody who needs a cane in, not necessarily for, like, leaning weight on, but for getting your balance.
Yeah.
I can see a rolling suitcase being helpful for that.
Yeah.
Maybe not as much as a cane would be because it moves, but some.
Yeah, it's not as stable.
Yeah, and also, I can sit on it. If there's, like, no seating available or, like, I'm standing in line, I can sit on it. And I always have some place to sit down and rest my legs. So yeah, that suitcase, that's an accessibility device.
Absolutely. I'm thinking of the cane chair combo. Mm-hmm. I have someone I work with who's disabled, and when he has to go longer distances, he has a wheelchair that either an electric one or one someone can push. But he, just to go short distances, he has this nice little cane, but that has this plastic seat on it that he can, like, pop out.
Yeah.
It's like a little stool.
I think I also know someone who uses one of those sometimes.
it's a really good combo.
Yeah.
It's a good, it helps you stay on your feet and get off your feet.
So another version of this that I've seen, I had a hair client once who came in and had this, like, she was carrying like a decent sized purse and had this little tripod camping stool in it. And when she sat down in the salon chair, she took out the tripod camping stool and plopped her purse down on top of it in easy arm's reach. But then she told me, like, yeah, I carry this with me because I can't stand for long periods. And so if I have this, I can always sit. Even if there's no seating, and it just fits in the big purse that I'm going to carry anyways. And I think that's great. And the fact that it doubles as a purse stand is also very convenient. Yeah, I feel like that's something I should maybe put at least a little bit more thought in for me, because I think my attitude towards myself and, like, I guess mobility or standing related accessibility devices for a long time has been, normally if I'm well enough to be up and walking around, then I'm well enough to be up and walking around. And if I get caught out with, like, bad pain or bad fatigue, having a cane or something to sit on, like, that's not necessarily going to help, because the thing I need is not to exert myself a little bit less while I stay out. The thing I need is to get home.
Right.
It's one or the other. But now I'm sort of starting to think about, like, okay, are there things that can let me stretch the energy I have a little bit further when I want to? And I don't necessarily know that I'm ever going to be using, like, mobility-related accessibility devices for, like, my current level of stuff. But the whole, like, carrying less thing, that is so helpful.
Excuse me as I try and draw a pentagram and not a Star of David. Stop that. Stop.
Different ritual.
Different ratios.
I mean, you're doing better than me. I probably can't draw either and have it come out well. Like,
all it takes is practice, babe.
I know that a lot of it comes with practice, and also 2D art forms are not things I do well with.
Oh, you can only rotate 3D objects in your mind. Ooh, look at me.
No, that is kind of how it works. Like, the moment you put me in, like, a 3-dimensional medium, like clothes, hair, makeup, things like that, I can do it. But if you want me to make a 2-dimensional image, I'm just like, yeah.
It doesn't translate.
Yeah, it does not.
I don't know, that's impressive. Usually, I think, when you learn art more formally, it almost goes the other way. You master 2D images first in order to then be able to sculpt it.
Yeah. Well, I guess the flip side of this is, basically the only way I have of expressing a thing I want to make is I just have to make that thing. I can't do prototypes, I can't do concept sketches. The few times I've needed a sketch for a dress design, I've had to commission somebody else to do it.
Honestly, I think this is a time for hydration break.
Yes, more tea. I know I definitely need it.
We brought out these snacks so that you would have sustenance.
Yeah, let's actually, eat the cookies.
Yeah, eat the glutinous cookie.
Yeah, you eat the non-glutinous cookie.
True. God,
also, the brownie should have solidified by now.
It's true. You really would think that.
You really would think that?
You really would think that.
I mean, I hear gooey brownies are a good thing.
They are.
I don't know, I like gooey brownies.
Ooh, that's really good.
I will tell the person who made it.
Yeah, props to them.
They're an amazing baker.
I will say, I think I definitely had some sort of gluten contamination in the past week or so.
Oh no.
If only because I feel my inflammation is up.
Ooh.
Like, yeah, my body's just more irritated. I'm itchier. I'm breakoutier. I'm bloated. More bloated.
Oof. I'm sorry.
It's annoying. It's fine. It's not to the level where I'm like tanked in the energy department. Because that definitely happens as well. But it's just, I don't know, maybe it's a different allergy. Who knows? All I know for now is that my one confirmed allergy is to gluten. Which I'm very happy that that's my one confirmed allergy.
Because at least, especially like living where we live, people are familiar with that.
Yeah. I've also just gotten better. I feel like you guys know when you have a thing that you have to explain over and over, you get real good at the elevator pitch.
Yeah. I mean...
So for gluten, it's the whole, can't have gluten. Oh, it's a protein you find in wheat, barley, rye. It's usually in baked goods. Sometimes can be used as an additive to thicken things. It's very elevator pitch, and then...
Yeah. I need to come up with a better version of that for my food allergies. Because I feel like I'm going to be explaining that to a lot of people that I'm just meeting pretty soon.
Yeah.
And it's a weird one.
Alliums, right?
Yeah. So everything in the onion, garlic, leek, green onion, all of that, it's not a I could eat it but then I'll be sick later allergy. It's instant nausea.
Oh.
Yeah. And like... Also because, like, I know a lot of diets that are meant to reduce inflammation, avoid those. Like, it's probably a good thing that I have that instant nausea reaction also, because I doubt they would do me any good if I could eat them.
Right.
But I already can't. The thing is, though, like, trying to explain to people that you just don't ever consume onion or garlic breaks their brains.
It breaks my heart. But, I mean, your cooking is still delicious without them.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, I've worked hard on that. And I've worked hard on that both because, like, for me, I feel like I'm not necessarily missing anything, but I do have to figure out substitutions in the recipes that, like, kind of rely on it. But also, like, I really like cooking for my friends, and I want them to enjoy the results, too.
Well, friend here, and I enjoy the results.
Yay! Yeah, I think yesterday's recipe was one of the few that I didn't actually have to modify. It didn't call for garlic or onion of any sort. I made it exactly as written, and that's pretty rare.
The salmon?
Yeah. I mean, and I guess also the tofu, because it was the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like... I think the one modification might have been it wanted chili paste, and I don't super enjoy that. Not an allergy, I just don't enjoy it. So I used ginger and white pepper instead. But that was all. Speaking of, I am super appreciative of you for dealing with the dishes yesterday. Like, going into my kitchen today and finding out that everything was just dealt with. So good, especially considering what I woke up to this morning body-wise.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The zero in the tank.
Yeah. Well, there's an app I've been trying out that a few of my friends really like, where it checks your heart rate in the morning, and if you get their like little wearable device, it checks it throughout the day too. And based on your resting heart rate compared to your usual resting heart rate and your heart rate variability, it can decently accurately guess if you have variable chronic health issues, especially involving fatigue. It seems to do a decent job of guessing what you have in the tank that day. Which is really useful for me, because for the longest time, the way I've felt about my fiber and my fatigue is dice get rolled when I'm asleep, and I wake up and I get what I get, but I don't get to look at the dice.
Yeah, you have to find out.
Yeah, I do things and I find out. And this app is kind of like looking at the dice. So I woke up this morning, and it scores you... I've never gotten higher than a 4, and a 4 seems to be everything's good, go about your day as normal, you're feeling okay. I think it might be able to go as high as a 5, but I don't tend to fluctuate like above a stable baseline. So I don't know if I'm ever going to get a 5. I don't even know if it actually goes to a 5. Today it was a 1. Today it was like, your resting heart rate's high, your heart rate variability is low, you need to be flat. And I was like, but I feel fine.
Until you started doing things.
And then noon rolls around, and I'm like, I do not feel fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I am very, very, very grateful that I do not have residual kitchen cleanup to do after hosting dinner last night.
Yeah. I mean, hey, you cook, I clean.
Mm-hmm. That is generally the rule in my house.
Yeah, it's a good rule.
Mm-hmm.
I am usually more of a fan of chefing than of cleaning, but I've now done enough cleaning work in my life where it's become more routine and less of a chore. Mm-hmm. I've gotten better at it. It's become easier, more efficient, and it's not, I don't think of it as much of a burden as I did when I was younger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. I will never enjoy doing the dishes. Both because I'll never enjoy it, and also I think it is, like, it's hard on the shoulders.
Yeah, I mean, depending on, how tall your sink is, how deep it is, the weight of the dishes. It's a lot of upper body work.
Yeah, and I feel like the rest of it honestly isn't so bad. I don't mind sweeping and wiping down the countertops, although I definitely need to do that more regularly. But, like, the dishes are the thing that I always end up, if I neglect something, it's those.
Yeah, because your dishwasher won't do bowls bigger than a certain size.
But it will do everything it does without needing a pre-rinse.
Dishwashers nowadays, all of them don't need a pre-rinse.
I feel like everybody tries to rinse stuff the first time they encounter my dishwasher, and then I tell them, like, no, you don't need to. But yeah, my dishwasher has strong boundaries.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah, it has a particular idea of its job description, and its idea of job description is to wash the sort of dishes that you eat and drink off of, but nothing bigger. Mm-hmm. And so if you give it a bowl bigger than a standard, like, salad bowl, that bowl will not get fully clean.
Which, hey, I've learned to accept it.
Yeah, which I appreciate. Because one of the ways I do tend to end up with work the next day is the dishwasher got loaded with a bunch of things it won't clean, and then I have to clean them the next day after they've been dishwashered and the stuff is cooked on.
No.
Yeah.
That's the opposite of helpful.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I am here today just mending my pajama pants, fuzzy in the brain, achy in the shoulders, scratchy in the throat, and it's like, it's not a cold. That's the annoying thing. My fibro has done this before, or I would be worried it was a cold.
Okay.
But sometimes something will just irritate the lungs, or I won't be doing well enough at hydrating, or something.
Yeah.
And I'll just have this intermittent sore throat. And then I never get sick. Nobody around me gets sick.
It's just your body acting up.
It's just my body. And like, this was panic-inducing in 2020.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. Like, I felt so bad for my housemate having to deal with me having this. But yeah, at least now it's a known quantity. So yeah. Hydrate before you dihydrate.
Hydrate before you dihydrate. Yep. Drink whatever you have, drink it.
Mm-hmm. If you don't have something to drink, get something.
Yeah. Take your meds with it if you haven't yet.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's me coming up. I've been thinking more about it just because I'm preparing to travel for a bit. Mm-hmm. And it's not traveling far, it's just going to see some family. But it's that whole... I mean, I've been doing pretty well routine-wise, just getting enough liquids in me. Mm-hmm. So that when I sleep for my extended amounts of hours that I do, I don't get as dehydrated. Mm-hmm. And with travel, sometimes that's harder just because routines get disrupted.
Yeah.
Between that and meds, I definitely have been trying to, like, think of if there are any systems I can better implement this time while traveling. To try and just stay hydrated and stay on top of the schedule. I've sort of managed to make for myself, given that my days are so variable.
Yeah. I mean, like, the best I've ever managed for, like, plane travel is if the plane staff offer you something to drink, you take it. Like, anytime they come around with, even if it's just the little bottles of water, you say thank you, you take the bottle of water, you drink it. And that's at least the thing that keeps me from, like, getting completely dried out.
Yeah, that's to me, that's like the bare minimum.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not...
Honestly, with me, it's like, even getting the bare minimum is a significant improvement, because I just forget to drink things.
Right. No, I'm definitely... I think at trying to optimize beyond that. Because it's, sure, getting water when water is offered to me, or other beverages, but it's the also carrying around a big bottle, making sure that I'm not just downing it all at once at one point through the day, but that I'm drinking it throughout. Making sure that it has, what's it called? With the salts.
Electrolytes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So on and so forth, and just trying to really get that right, but not just right, get it to a thoughtless level.
Yeah.
Where I don't have to think about it as much.
Yeah.
And I've gotten pretty good at that. And now the next things that I'm trying to get routine enough in, and I say routine, and I don't mean like 8 a.m. do this, 9 a.m. do this, 10 a.m. do this, because I can never, I have a really hard time controlling when I get up.
So like it can't be tied to time.
Yes.
But you can sort of tie, if you do X, then you do Y.
Yeah, so sort of having modular routines.
Yeah.
That, like, depending on when and how my day starts, I can sort of cobble together a day that looks like a day. Even if it's not that many hours. And so I've gotten pretty good with hydration and I've gotten, like, personal hygiene. I need to get better around food and around activity. I need to start becoming better about having not thoughtless, but like having easier patterns that I can fall into around making sure that I have easy food that makes me feel good and activity that makes me feel good.
Activity like movement or like just things that fill your time?
Oh, my time's filled plenty. No. I mean movement. I mean, even fitness, because I really enjoy being strong. And also know that I have some medical issues that would be improved by having like higher muscle to fat ratio. But more, activity, like, because it's a bit counterintuitive, but when you have a sleeping disorder and you're on empty, there are times where you should rest, but there are times that if you can still find a way to be active, even though you feel like you're at zero, it strengthens up a muscle, but that muscle is just having more energy in the tank.
Well, there are ways for me, I feel like movement can kind of stimulate my body to get itself out of the rut. Like, if I get the endorphins going, or like if I somehow manage to cue it, like, hey, we need to be doing something right now. It'll chemically at least wake up and get with the program.
Right.
Not completely, but I'll go from like no initiation energy to, okay, I can actually maybe do some things now. And it needed that push of being told, no, we're moving now.
Right. Warm up, get lubricated.
I'm sure there's some kind of like actual chemical explanation for how that works. The way I think about it is I definitely have more of an engineering mentality than a science mentality. I don't need to know the details of why something is the way it is. What I care about is what I can do with it. So I don't need to know exactly like the names of what my body is doing chemically to produce this response, but I know it exists and I know what I can do with it. And that interests me a lot more. Okay, I think I've got the waistband on these mended.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I'm working through the thumbnailing of this.
Thumbnailing?
Yeah, it's when you want to do a painting or a drawing and it's going to be at a certain scale. You start off by sketching small thumbnail versions of it to sort of get a feel for composition and how it would look like from afar and how readable it would be. things like that.
Yeah.
Because the idea that I initially had would work better more for a portrait layout, but because it's going to be part of a document and I really just wanted to sort of take up more of the first half of the page, it needs to be more of a square. So I'm thumbnailing.
Yeah. No, I'm opening up these pants and just seeing, okay, what else needs mending? Since I've already got the piece of thread cut in this color. And it turns out, yeah, there is a seam where the raw edge needs to be folded back down and stitched in place so it doesn't all unravel. But that's like the thing that honestly makes the hand done seams more comfy, is they're flat and smooth. They don't have like loose fabric sticking out because it's all hand stitched down. And that for me is much nicer on pajama pants.
What have you been up to while you've been listening? Definitely let us know. I want to know, what sort of things people get up to. I tend to pick up a new hobby every couple of months.
I mean, I just like chatting with y'all about your projects.
Yeah, that'll be fun. But hey, and if it's a good cleaning, that's so, sorry.
You deserve a round of applause if what you're up to while you listen to us is cleaning.
Yeah, I don't know.
That is a very important undertaking, and we're proud of you.
I bring it up because I really enjoy being in a clean space, but the cleaning itself is so difficult to get to. So for me, going on YouTube and hanging out with some of my favorite channels, that's kind of my bribe for doing a clean, whether I'm undertaking my room or the kitchen.
Yeah. For me, it almost it pushes this button in my brain that's like the "you're not alone" button. And the thing I've realized about myself is absolutely anything I need to do is easier if I'm not by myself. Doesn't matter what. Like, trying to think, what are good examples? I waited until you came over to clear off my work table.
Yeah.
Because I knew if I tried to do it by myself, it was going to be struggle and anxiety inducing, and I was going to get sidetracked, and I was going to have a really just bad time doing it. But with you, it was just pleasant and easy.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't by myself.
Yeah.
Or I guess a slightly more medical one is there's a new medication that I've been put on that is thankfully seeming to do its job really well without causing any problems.
Wow.
Yeah, the migraine prevention meds.
That's optimal.
However, you know what's coming because I've talked to you about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my insurance, my insurance will not cover this medication in pill form. They will only cover this medication as an auto-injector.
Right. And
I've gotten better about needles, but there is just something about doing an auto-injector on myself that I can't. I can't. Maybe I could, but realistically what would happen is I'd put it off until it expired and then I wouldn't take the medication.
Oh.
So instead, what I've ended up doing is I have instructed my partner on this is how you do the auto-injector, this is how you get me to actually accept it. Just stab me in the leg with it, and it'll suck less. And that's what makes it get done.
I think that's such... It's funny because on the one hand it makes things easier. On the other hand, I think that's still a hard-earned skill of learning when and how to ask for help.
Yes!
It's one thing to have a support system, it's another thing to know how to use it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a thing I've learned about this particular partner is it gives them warm fuzzy feelings to do stuff like this for me.
Oh yeah, it could be
they like
caretaking.
Yeah. And it's not in a oh, you're not capable, it's in a I can be part of you addressing your own needs.
Yeah, it's a participatory thing.
Yeah.
It's a partnership thing. It's cute.
Yeah. Okay. So I think this pair of pajama pants is all set. I have one more that needs doing. I'm going slow because I'm on here chatting. But yeah, so
oh yeah, well I've really been judging your speed this whole time, so...
I used to be able to hem an entire petticoat in 2 hours by hand.
I believe that. I've seen you sew an entire, like 1850s dress in a weekend.
That did happen. That did happen. Look, I was psychologically having a time. I think I was allowed a little bit of a sewing binge.
Well, I'm just saying, I've seen your capabilities.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't had a whole lot of sewing energy recently. I've just... Physically, I think I've been more tired. I think mentally, I think I've been more tired. And I've had, like, some emotional stuff tangled up with sewing that's been kind of hard. Mm-hmm. So I haven't been doing as much of it to relax recently. And hopefully I'll get back to that because I have such a big pile of mending. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Not to mention, I owe my chiropractor 3 pairs of pants. Or, like, I don't owe them because I haven't been going in super recently because I felt bad about the fact that I haven't made them pants. But, like, yeah, my chiropractor and I agreed that we were going to trade for 3 pairs of pants, and I need to make the pants.
V runs a barter economy.
It's good. It's good. It's nice to have trade skills. And, like, I would probably be trading for doing my chiropractor's hair if they didn't already have somebody they traded with to do their hair.
Yeah.
But they, like... asked me, like, hey, so I got this custom-made pair of pants overseas and now it's falling apart.
Yeah.
Can you rip it apart the rest of the way and make a pattern out of it and then maybe reproduce it? Mm-hmm. And then I won't charge you for your sessions? I was like, yeah. I can make you pants. I just wasn't expecting this winter to be what this winter's become, though.
Yeah. Gosh. I think in general, like, I don't know, you guys might be missing some context, but when we talk about what this winter's become, I think it's also just wrapped up in how the world is right now.
Oh, absolutely.
Which doesn't feel good.
Yeah, and, like,
feels
the general
bad.
state of the world certainly is not helping, even if I feel like it's, like, personally, I feel like I'm fairly insulated from it for the moment. Mm. I'm sure that's not going to be the case forever.
Yeah, I know So I went to a protest over President's Day. Mm-hmm. And I want to be going to a lot more protests. I'm also going to be voting in a local election. Is today the... Oh, whatever.
I don't know, but I think I just got mail about it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I get an email from the Postal Service every morning telling me what's in my mail. Uh-huh. And there was election mail in it. So I think I have a ballot.
Ooh. That's exciting. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm going to be voting in a local election, and I know I'm going to be wanting to go to more protests, and just wanting to, elbow into the mosh pit of resistance a little bit more. And I'm both really looking forward to it because it's like something to do with the world being so on fire, but it's also... I'm already trying to weigh it against what I have on my plate. And the fact that I'm, like, barely holding myself together in a fairly well-adjusted era of my life, dealing with my sleeping disorder. And the fact that really my number one priority right now is finding a job that can accommodate my idiopathic hypersomnia. Yeah. So that I can actually be financially... First of all, financially confident, but also, like, financially more independent again.
Yeah. Well, I feel like... if we're not... Like, I know this has been said all over the place, but, like, if we're not resourced ourselves, if we're exhausted, if we have nothing to give... Yeah. Then we have nothing to give. Which sucks.
Yeah, and it's not like I owe anyone anything, but it's that kind of thing of the feeling of helplessness. Yeah. Right? That is so exacerbated by being, I suppose, like, sick all the time or having disordered anything. Yeah. It's that kind of helplessness of, like, and just the fighting back to have more self-agency around matters such as food and sleep and function. Yeah. And then it just gets to a more global scale that's around politics and around your rights and around how you think the world should be treating your fellow humans.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, sure, I know I don't owe anyone anything. I don't know, can be hard when you don't have, you know, whether it's health-wise, finances-wise, you know, you're stuck in a different sort of like bad situations, I don't know, where you're living, where you're working, how you're feeling, what you're doing, what your responsibilities are. I guess if you don't have that, like, solvency of choice,
it feels like it can be made to feel like a personal failing.
Yes.
But that's the thing. It's not, because what that essentially means is you are the person that this resistance is for. It's not just meant to be a thing that you serve, it's also meant to make the world more livable. And sometimes...
Well, that's one part of it, sure. But there's no, like, feeling of guilt or shame. Or, again, I don't owe anyone anything. Like, it's not a personal failing in that I should be doing more. It's an awful itch in that I want to be doing more.
Okay, yeah, that. I feel like, for me, they kind of end up being the same thing. Because, like, I came to, like, the crummy realization in 2020 when there were a lot of, like, big protests happening in the spring.
Right.
That me going out and physically protesting was a terrible idea. Because I didn't have the physical fortitude for it, essentially. With the way a lot of the protests near me were going. And if I tried anyways, it was gonna end up not just potentially being bad for me, but it was going to become everybody else's problem there too, potentially. And so it was not responsible of me to try to go and be the person at the march. What I was the person whose phone number got written on everybody's arms.
Right.
Because I knew I was going to be home, I was going to be at my phone, I was going to be reachable. And at the time, if somebody needed bail money, I was going to have it on hand and they could pay me back later. And that was what I could do. And that was how I showed up. And thankfully, nobody needed that, but that was the contribution that I could make with the way my health was. And it was frustrating because previously the thing I did was I showed up and I shouted. And it was frustrating to realize that, like, much as I wanted to do that and much as that was the thing I felt it's like a responsibility to do, I couldn't anymore. But since then, I think what I've ended up thinking more about is when you have principles, whatever they are, when they're, like, in you to the point where it almost feels easier to act in concert with them than to act against them.
Yeah.
They end up showing up in everything you do. If you let them.
Yeah.
So every time I was behind the chair at work when I was doing hair, having a conversation with somebody about pronouns or about how much the curly hair care movement owed to Black women.
Oh, oh, my heart and soul, my butt, yeah.
Or even just the little things like
care.
that.
Okay,
every time that we would talk about something that was at all political, and let's be real, politics is the management of human societies, so
right.
A lot of things are political. I would talk about it from my perspective of what my principles were, and that was what I could do. Because when you're doing someone's hair, like, they're in an environment where they're chatting, they're receptive, they're thinking, they're comfortable. And so you can have a conversation that maybe helps somebody adjust their views or be more informed a little bit. And that does make a difference. Because then there's, like, I don't know, everybody whose hair I've ever done that's a little bit more conscientious because they talked with me while I did it. And that's what I can do. And that's... I don't love the idea of, like, enough, but that's not nothing.
Yeah, it really is all about reframing what you want to do versus what you can do. It's the compromise of like, oh shoot, I wanted to get up for this march. I didn't manage to get up for this march. What can I do? Cool. Let me go make sure that, you know, that people know that this march actually happened, and, you know, do more of, like, the marketing side of it, whether by, virtue of, like, in-person retelling or, like, social media. Because there is also, I will say, a lot of resistance feels nowadays it's like the marketing of it all. Right, there's, like, the joke of a comedian who has these great jokes about, for every state, of this state would be pro-abortion if we just called it this.
My goodness.
And it's because it's all just about marketing. It's all about how you phrase something, and anyway, that's kind of, I think, been my angle of my contributing to the world in a time where I feel in some ways helpless, and only some of that is my sleeping disorder, is trying to... I've been listening more to, like, journalists' podcasts that I enjoy, seeing of how they cover news, and I've been trying to learn how to talk about the matters I care about more, because I usually find that if I'm ever in a conversation with someone who shares a different point of view, with someone who's more conservative, even if, like, we reach a really good point where we see each other as people and we get to talk about what we think, I always find that I want to be just a bit better informed, to have just a bit better way of saying things.
Yeah, like like the ability to express yourself really, really well in that moment matters a lot.
Yeah, of being persuasive, and not in a way that is like the shouting, like, I'm right, you're wrong, I'm smart, you're dumb, but the more like, hey, have you considered compassion? Yeah. Have you considered?
And I feel like that's what a lot of those conversations I had behind the chair went. Like, I think I had one or two that ever got confrontational, and one of them was... Both of the times it was in response to clients who were just going off on transphobic rants, expecting me to be comfortable with this.
Right.
And both of the times I was just like, okay, you are already so far in this that I can't... You're not in a space to have a conversation about it. But the only sort of influence I can exert is to show you that, hey, there are people that find your views distasteful enough that they will refuse your business and they will refuse your company. And just tell them, hey, I'm not going to do your hair again.
Oh, yeah.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts. I'm going to finish this appointment and then you're going to need to get another hairdresser.
Yes.
And just like, hey, there are consequences to your actions. Yeah. I don't know if you thought I was going to agree with you, or if you didn't even think it through that far. Yeah. But there are consequences.
Yeah.
To this.
That's the whole thing, you know, hey, bakery doesn't have to bake a gay wedding cake.
And this just happens to be the consequence that is within my power. I'm not going to be nasty to you about it. I'm not going to insult you. I'm not going to shout at you. Yeah. But I am going to say, hey, that's not welcome in my chair.
That's hot.
Thank you. I only ever had to do that twice. And the rest of the time I was able to have just like, I think like smaller, chiller conversations where like it didn't feel like a big deal. Like, I'm sure maybe it did in the moment just because I had my customer service face on, but like I'm not looking back and feeling like there were these like really difficult pivotal moments. It really was just a lot of like, somebody would say something and I would be like, oh, that's interesting. I read something that said something different.
Introducing doubt. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean for this to become like rah-rah.
Are you sure?
Type of conversation.
Are you sure?
Listen, it's just what goes on in my brain.
Yeah.
I want to affect positive change onto this world.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of why I'm also, I think, why I wanted us to do this. Because I feel one of the most subversive yet radical ways of fighting back against what sucks in this world is getting through the isolation.
Yes.
That things like chronic illness and disenfranchisement brings. It's how do we actually beat, you know, the silencing and the over individualizing to the point of isolation of people.
To the point where it does disempower people.
Yeah. We freaking, sorry, not to overuse the word, but community.
Yeah.
Actually seeing each other, hearing each other, knowing yourself that you shouldn't, just, lie down and roll over unless you need to for your lower back. But, you shouldn't lie down and roll over because you're all alone and you'll never be able to stand up to the masses that are against you.
Because the reality is that's not how it works.
That's
no one
not
person
how it works.
Don't make me go off on a rant about the great man theory of history.
Yeah.
Because I don't have enough brain to do that today.
Right.
But yeah, this is not a one-person job. The way this works is you tag in and you tag out. And you tag out so you don't get wrecked. There was a, I wish I'd saved this. There was a post I read recently that I need to find and then, fact check before I throw it up on the internet and be like, I stand behind this.
Let me write these down so that we actually remember
too. By an academic, I think, that was studying authoritarianism and had basically said, one of the defining ways that it develops power is by creating the sense of isolation within individuals, because then you don't feel like there's anything you can do. It just feels like it's this great machine that's going to roll right over you no matter what you do, so maybe it'll crush you a little bit less if you don't fight.
Yeah.
And what is the antidote to that? It is the lack of isolation, the understanding that all of these terrible people's power comes from the fact that others listen to them.
Yes.
And we might not be able to single-handedly solve that, but they're just people.
Yeah.
Frequently dumb people.
Aren't we all?
Yeah.
But I really think part of growing up, and seeing through the illusion of adults, and then also being an adult and looking at what we are selling each other, whether, something is presented to you from the mouth of an organization, or from a leader, or from a follower, or from a collective, or from whatever, it's all just people. It's people all the way down. And people can be befriended, surmounted, acted against, rallied around. It's all just people. But I think, definitely, one of my biggest beliefs is that chronic illness is really isolating. Which is why I know for me, my quality of life improved so much when I befriended you and other friends of mine now that are spoonies and chronic illness and disorder havers, or and
people who get it.
Yeah, and seeing a range of what disability looks like, of what a good day can look like versus what it should, what productivity is, what self-care is, just having others around me that helped me not feel like I was the odd one out that was failing at everything I was doing because I wasn't achieving the normality that I thought was universal.
Yeah.
Life-changing, quality of life improving. It's so important for chronic illness.
When I first got sick, there was not a lot of understanding or acknowledgement of that in the social circles I was in, and I did have to spend a fair amount, I think, of time and thought and energy just shifting where I put my social energy to have community and relationships and friendships in my life that were understanding. But the way it's paid off is my life has really good things in it.
That's really nice to hear.
And but where that comes from is having people around me who get it.
Yeah.
Having people around me who work with me, having people around me who understand me and who appreciate my skills for what they are and don't think less of me because they're different than what they might be. People who meet me and work with me where I'm at. And so not having that isolation, I end up feeling like almost all of the amazing things that I've achieved have not been solo efforts. And that community is where it comes from. Yeah, they're technically my achievements, but I didn't do it by myself. I did it because I had someone who helped me clean my house one day so I had the energy to think about something, or somebody who I talked through a particular aspect of a project with, or like it's never solo. And so community really is one of the biggest sources of power.
I absolutely collective action.
Yeah.
Again, it's that whole range of that personal day-to-day life all the way to, I think, world-changing power. Well, I guess that's what I wish for you guys is that feeling of is there a word for community that isn't as like
Interconnectedness.
Cliched? It feels like a buzzword nowadays.
Yeah, but like that feeling of interconnectedness and not necessarily like independence, but interdependence.
Ooh,
you are supporting and you are being supported at once. It's not one or the other.
Yeah, so I wish that for you. You know, do you have that? I'd love to know. And if you don't, what do you think is the, barrier, the difficulties you've had around that? Because, like, it could just be, sometimes you don't find the right people.
Yeah, it took time, it took work for me.
And, hey, and whenever anyone, Spoonie, says it took work, you know
and like, not gonna lie, the interim sucked.
Yes.
It did.
Yeah.
It was not pretty. But, like, also, I'm curious, like, what are the ways that looks like for you? Because I feel like I know what it looks like for me, but, like, I mean, even, like, with my diagnoses, like, my fibromyalgia is not the next person's fibromyalgia.
Right.
So, like, what does that look like for you?
Yeah, let us know. And let us know if this was useful to you. I know this was really nice. I think for us, we got some stuff done.
I mended 2 pairs of pajama pants I'd been putting off for ages.
Whole pairs. I think I cracked the composition that I want to do. Yeah, I'll kind of do... Anyway, I'll show you it a bit later. Maybe in future videos I'll also actually start up an art account. So, hey, we might be doing more of this in the future. So subscribe if you'll want to see more of this. We'll also be releasing more of our short form videos where we talk about specific topics and give, I think, more specific advice that comes from our lives as Spoonies.
But yeah, if you had a good time or got something done or just had a pleasant time resting and restoring yourself, click the button to tell YouTube that this was nice.
Yeah.
And should be shown to more people.
Yeah. So we could have some collective rest first, but then collective action.
Yes. Yeah, rest is an action.
Yeah, rest is an action. It's
true.
We
We will see you around the internet. We've got social media. We'll throw it up on screen. You can also find clicky links in the description. And now we should finish our tea, and I should probably get a little bit more horizontal.
Yeah, I have to tackle laundry later today, so I'm gonna...
To fold laundry.
We'll see if I can take some of my short-acting meds.
We got this.
We got this. You
All
got
right.
this. Bye.